Hello, how are you? I hope everyone's well. I'm still coughing, and that's problematic. But what are you gonna do? And it'll eventually shake out. I'm looking forward to the LARP this weekend. I'm not altogether sure I'm physically ready for it, and apparently my paycheck was badly hurt by my sick days, so financially I'm not really looking forward to it either. But I really want to hang out with my friends. I haven't hung out with anybody in a long time, and it's beginning to bug me. So I'm looking forward to it. I've been reading the D&D books that came out this past week. The Players Handbook and the Horde of the Dragon Queen. I haven't read them all the way through. I haven't had time, honestly. But I have been diving in and trying to pick up some things. And I do have some impressions. First off, overall I like how the new edition's forming up. It has a right mix between that sort of the way D&D used to be, and therefore the nostalgia for it from before 3rd edition even. But still incorporating some of the newer ideas, like feats and such, but doing it in a way that you don't have to interact with it if you don't want to. And I think that's pretty neat. I like the fact that the characters have choices, and if you've read the basic rule book, and read the character creation rules there, the Player's Handbook has all of that and then some more, because it's got some races that aren't there, like the tiefling and the gnome and the half-elf and the half-orc. And they've got some classes that aren't in there. They've got like the barbarian, the bard, the monk. I've always been a fan of monks, and I don't know why. It's been one of my favorite classes, but it always has been. I've always been the guy who liked the oddball ones that nobody else liked. So I like monks and I like bards. Go figure. And I like how they've handled both of those in this particular edition. I think that the monk has the right feel to it. I'm not sure how it will end up playing out, but it looks like it's got the right feel to it, and that's worth something. The Horde of the Dragon Queen is an adventure, large-scale, hardback, adventure done by, Kobold Press. They basically contracted out, here, write this adventure for us. We don't want to spend our time doing this. You guys do it, and we'll just use the new rules. And it looks good. It's based in the Forgotten Realms. I should add that the new Player's Handbook appears to be based in the Forgotten Realms as well. If you're not a Forgotten Realms fan, that's fine. I mean, there's other stuff to do, but in each of the previous rule books for the past few editions, there's been an assumed base world that you were in. As far as, this is the base sort of world for the game. The last edition, it was Nintir Vale and all of that. Before that, it was Greyhawk, and now it's Forgotten Realms. Forgotten Realms is the new Greyhawk. And I think that's a branding thing. R.A. Salvatore's series is very popular, and so they do incorporate a lot of that in sort of making it familiar to people who've read those novels but maybe haven't read the games before, the game world. And Forgotten Realms is very popular with a lot of the D&D players. It's not my favorite setting, but it's a good, solid, sort of generic fantasy setting. If you're going to want to use it, interchangeable with Greyhawk in that regard. Or the Pathfinder campaign setting for that matter. They all have sort of here's a generic fantasy setting that you can sort of fit a lot of things in rather than having a strong set of themes to the overall world, like, say, Dark Sun or Planescape or Eberron to a lesser extent. Eberron has that sort of, has a couple of major themes in it that overarch in the world, but it's not as tightly focused as, say, a Dark Sun is. My personal favorite has been for a long time the Eberron setting. I always loved the Eberron setting. I sort of like the mix of things that are in it, and I look forward to seeing them do some stuff with the Eberron settings. But I suspect that we won't see that for a little while, maybe next year. Who knows? The base assumption is Forgotten Realms. So all the art reflects that. And that's another thing I should add. The artwork is good. It's really good. Which you expect. It's D&D. D&D has always had as good an art as you're going to find for a rulebook in the time that it's published. This is no exception. This is as good an art as you can find for a game book, and it is good. Okay, let's be more specific. It is it's much more inclusive than previous editions. There's a lot more people of different ethnic backgrounds, not just Western European. A lot more women, and not just in a I'm going to be scantily clad in bondage fairy kind of stuff, but honest to goodness, here's a woman in reasonable armor, wearing, or doing something fairly typically warrior-ish, and it doesn't matter that she's a woman, it's just she happens to be, which is an important distinction. As opposed to, say, the other extreme, which is sometimes they'll do the women that are effectively just men with boobs. That the artist doesn't really know how to draw women being active and heroic, so they'll draw a guy and then just add curves. This is not that. I don't know. I liked it. The artwork is solid. It's inclusive. And it does reflect the Forgotten Realms. It does sort of say, this is what the Forgotten Realms looks like, this is what the people look like in it, and so on. Horde of the Dragon Queen is set in the Forgotten Realms. It is revolving around the dragon cult and Tiamat, and it's kind of cool. I like the setup. I haven't read all the way through, but I like the basic overarching story to it. Draco Liches were cool the first time you ran into them, but I'm kind of glad that they're moving past Draco Liches. I kind of like the fact that they're bringing Tiamat in as a major bad, ultimately. So I think it's I liked what I've seen of it. It takes place in the Baldur's Gate, Luskin kind of region, so you'll be all very familiar to people who are already familiar with Forgotten Realms, and has a lot of range for you to support various different kinds of character concepts if you want to make them, and it's good. So that's my overall initial impressions. I will have more in-depth impressions after I spend some more in-depth time with them. But I like the books. I think they're definitely good direction. And I hope to see, because the first set of books are obviously where you set the tone and set sort of the parameters of what the rest of the stuff is going to look like. I find myself wondering, because the way they're structured, I do find myself wondering what future books are going to be like. What are they going to incorporate? Because right now I don't have a clear picture. Some of the things, like there'll be new backgrounds. There may be new feats, but the feats are nowhere near as important as they used to be, and as ubiquitous as they used to be. So, there may be some more, but there won't be that many more. Classes, maybe, but not a whole lot, because the way they made the classes, they're very customizable, so you could be reflecting various different kinds of classes that may have existed in previous editions. So I find myself kind of wondering what they're going to do next. I hope they're going to concentrate on producing world books. Like, all right, here is Eberron, and here are a bunch of backgrounds that are specific to Eberron, and a couple of races that are specific to Eberron, and a couple of classes that might, or maybe some class options. Like, they've got a lot of the different classes have options that you can pick, like, fighter archetypes, or, wizard specializations, or things like that. And, adding in new ones with each world book, but still giving you, because there are a lot of D&D worlds that haven't seen print in a while. I know I'm probably alone in my love for Planescape, but not Planescape, Spelljammer. I'd love to see them do a Spelljammer book. That would be awesome. Planescape hasn't been touched in years. Totally could do a good Planescape. The Dark Sun is always a classic, always fun. Dragonlance hasn't been really published as a setting by Wizards of the Coast since forever. I mean, it was done as some third-party products, third-party publisher products, but they haven't published anything from Wizards of the Coast in a good long while, as far as rule books and world books. So that will probably get popped up. More Forgotten Realms stuff. So there's a lot of, I suspect that a lot of the stuff will be more, here is a section of world that you can use for running a game. Like, world books that are sections of the Forgotten Realms to cover this section of the Forgotten Realms, and here are a few things that exist here that maybe aren't in the main rule book. Here's Eberron, and like here's the City of Sharn book, or here's something like that. That's what I would suspect, but I don't know. And that's pretty much my thoughts on it. Anyway, I'm gonna go to bed here in a bit. I'm gonna try and relax and not stress about the fact that my paycheck was so small, so little money. I have so little money. All right, talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Subscribe, like, share with all the people. Go pick up the new D&D books. If you're a gamer, go get the new D&D books. They're good. They really are. There's stuff in there that some of the old school people will like. There's stuff in there that a lot of the fans of 3rd and 4th edition will like. Just go pick them up. They're well worth it, and I think you'll have a good time with them. So, talk to you later.